Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another Amazon Web Services workshop. I would like to first and foremost thank a very good friend of mine, Jenny Wong, who's been working with the Viterbi Startup Garage since I've been working at the Viterbi Startup Garage. She's such a great resource. She helps our teams in all these different ways. And twice a year, we do an AWS workshop right after we bring in the latest cohort of startups into our incubator program. So thank you, Jenny, for joining us again today. I will pass it to you and Wade in just a second. My name's Arcelia. I work at the Viterbi Startup Garage. I manage operations and programs. As such, I would like to invite all of you guys to our next week's event. Just give it a little shameless plug. I will do so by changing my virtual background to show you the event here. So next week we will be having Porter Wong. He will speak a little bit about how to get funded, especially if you are in the clean tech space. But really everyone is welcome, even if you're just interested in being an entrepreneur and startup life, please join us for that event. It's next week, Wednesday. I will toss all the details about that in the chat. But without further ado, I would like to pass the mic to both Jenny and Wade. Thank you guys for being here. I can't wait for today's presentation.
Thank you for having us. Very excited to be here. I am going to start us off here and admit one more person into the room. So I'll turn over admitting duties to you two.
I will definitely take them.
Great. I'm going to start us off before turning it over to Wade, and I'll let him introduce himself. But thank you all for joining here with us today. Some of you I've already met, and those of you I haven't, I'm excited to do so, possibly in office hours. So please sign up for the office hours using the sign-up sheet, and I'll mention that a couple times throughout the presentation. So today we are just going to review the AWS startup team, what we do, and how you can take advantage of the resources that we offer for free to each and every one of you. I've worked with a couple of different Startup Garage teams throughout the years, and I know many of you are very talented, and there are always those who take full advantage of all the resources, and then some who are too busy or didn't realize they were there. So I want to make sure that at least everyone has a basic idea of what we do. And then if you forget any of this presentation, don't worry. You can always just email me directly and I can direct you to the right resources. Now, AWS, I'm not going to go into too much about what AWS technically does, Amazon Web Services, because I'll leave that up to Wade, our expert. But this logo page just shows you that some of the world's top startups have build on AWS. And you'll see many of them here are no longer startups anymore, so this is a little old, but we have grown with these startups from the very beginning to now the big enterprises and corporations that they are. Startups build on AWS because you can move faster, scale easily, and manage costs. Gone are the days when you have to purchase your own servers, manage them, pay for the electricity, buy more than you need. With AWS, you can scale and pay as you go. So that's a big benefit of why startups choose AWS. We have core services that make it easy to deploy your app or your product, your service on us. These 5 categories are summed up into storage, compute, database, networking, and CDN. However, it's not just these categories, and Wade will go more into the details of this. I also won't go into detail here, but we have more than 200 specialized services. That is a lot for anyone to be an expert in, every single one of them. I certainly don't know most of them, and that's why we're here to help you, is to navigate all of these services and pick the right ones for you to use. And I'll discuss how we do that here. Our team is made up of former founders, CTOs, startup execs, and people who come from the startup world. I hadn't told you about myself, but this would be a good time to do it. And that is before joining AWS about 4 years ago, less than 4 years, I was at 2 very early stage startups as the first business hire. And I saw them through pre-seed to Series A. I led partnerships at both of them, operations at one, and just a little bit of background. One of them is a health IoT device company, and the other was a shopping and travel marketplace. So if you're in any of those vertical sectors, industries, give me a shout out, and maybe I'll have some at least failures to share with you. And our team is of a similar background, so we bring this experience to help all of you. We do this through 4 main categories. 1 is AWS credits, 2 is technical support, 3 go-to-market resources, and 4 is business mentorship. So I'll briefly go over each of those. For the credits and training, I know a few of you have taken advantage of this already, but please do sign up for AWS credits if you haven't already, because you get, through your association with the Startup Garage, $25,000 to use over 2 years. And it comes with 1 year of free business support. Business support is kind of a misnomer. It's a category of customer service or developer support, I guess you could say, at AWS, and it is a middle tier business support or of support that gives you 24/7 access to our support engineers. So if you're reading through documentation and you're getting confused, if you're running into an issue implementing and you want someone to help you troubleshoot, you can call, email, chat with a support engineer and get help right away. And so I really advise you to take advantage of that. Our solutions architects are very skilled, but they don't have that response time for you. So please take advantage of this. To redeem your credits, again, that's $25,000 of free credits to use towards AWS services. Just go to the link below and use this unique org ID. I know that's a very long link, unfortunately. I'll paste it into the chat, and Arcelia also has information about that. I'm sure she's very organized. I'm sure you've gotten this already. Besides the credits, you can also set up one-on-one sessions with a solutions architect. Wade is one of them, and so he'll explain a little more later. But you can sign up for one-on-one sessions, and you can do that through the spreadsheet that I think you've all gotten a link to. And this will give you one-on-one time to discuss high-level strategic infrastructure questions and issues. So if you want to talk about best practices or compliance, if you're simply confused about what's the best path forward for the services that you're looking at, building serverless applications, anything like that that requires a deeper discussion, you can set up time with a solutions architect. And I do get asked this question, whether there's a fee for this, and there's no fee, it's completely free. So take advantage of it while you can. We also have go-to-market resources. This is not all of them here, but to give you just a overview of some of these things. One is the Alexa Fund. So if you have a voice tech startup and you're looking for funding, that is one of our few avenues of investing in companies. There's also the Amazon Launchpad, which is for if you're selling a physical product and want to sell it on Amazon.com. We have dedicated marketing support for that. Another one we're talking about is the upper right, AWS Connections. That is our program to connect startups with our enterprise customers that are looking for startup specific solutions or solutions from startups. So a lot of times we'll have American automakers or like one of the biggest CPG companies in the world will come to us, their innovation arm will say, we need this specific solution. We aren't able to or don't want to do it in-house? Is there a startup that could fit this need? And we'll make that connection. Of course, it's double opt-in. So those are some examples of things that we do. Lastly, we also, because of the makeup of our team, provide business mentorship. This ranges from pitch deck reviews, which I've been doing a little bit through the Startup Garage. Those angel investor office hours have been great, the one that I've been to, so I look forward to doing more. There's, we can also talk about hiring. I get that question a lot as everyone it seems, is trying to hire their first engineer, social media strategy, really anything that you can think of that you need some help or mentorship on. We probably have someone on the team who is an expert or at least has done that before for multiple startups. So feel free to reach out about that. And lastly, there's my email address, jcwong@amazon.com. Thank you for your time and for being here. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you. And now I'll turn it over to Wade, who has much more to share about AWS.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. That was awesome to hear about all the programs we have available. Let me go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll get started. Let me know.
It's in the presenters mode. Okay, there you are.
Yeah, great. Well, today I'll be talking about the 10 mistakes founders make when starting on AWS. It's a kind of a collection of common items and things that you can learn from as early founders kind of work their way through kind of moving into AWS. But before we get started, let me share a little bit about myself. I'm a solutions architect in the startup space, and my background, I live in the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area, for the last 29 years. About 26 years of that I've been in tech, mostly in support-related type roles in the networking. But I also worked with several startups from the early stages. One of them worked I was employee number 34, and I worked my way up all the way until almost IPO. Built a support team around a big data startup there. And so that's a little about myself. I've been a solutions architect now with AWS for over a year and really enjoying the startup space. So that's a little bit about myself. And let's get into the discussion today about how we can learn how to build as a founder, as a startup on AWS. So as we get into this, the number one mistake that we see for founders is when getting started on AWS is not setting up budgets. And I don't know if you are like me, but I hate it when I get in the mail this bill that I wasn't expecting. And no one likes surprise bills, right? And no one wants to see that large bill. And one way to not be surprised is by using budgets. And it'll send an email alert when monthly AWS costs hit a certain threshold. And you don't have to use email only. With a little extra work, you can set it up to Slack you or to text you, and also email you alerts based on forecasted costs or actual costs, depending on how you set it up. An example would be if you have a budget of $800 a month you can set a trigger to say, okay, based on this forecast of $800 a month, trigger and send me an email or send me an alert where my spend on AWS is at. And we recommend using alerts based on forecasts. That way you can get those alerts much quicker. So I want to show you how easy it is to set this up. And even if you want to go ahead and jump into the console yourself, this is something that's really easy for you to do. First of all, in the console, you would go to your billing dashboard. and you would go over to budgets, and then you would create a budget. If you haven't created a budget, this is the screen you would see. And then you would say, okay, I'm going to make it a cost budget, which is recommended here. I'm going to set my amount. So whatever your amount would be, that's, that you would consider needing to be alerted on, you could set that down below on a monthly basis and set it to be reoccurring. And then you would name it, of course. And then you would add your threshold. So here, 100% of the budgeted amount, which is, the trigger would be forecasted. So as the month goes along, and as it would look at how your spend is going and see, okay, based on this trending, you're going to be hitting 100% of your budget, within the month. And so then it would send you an alert based on the forecast. And then you hit next and create budget. And so, that's very easy. It just takes 2 minutes of time to set it up, and it can save you a very large bill, to me, and a surprise, and something that definitely should be doing first and foremost. The second mistake that we see founders and early stage startups making is not leveraging business support. And this is something Jenny had mentioned earlier about what that service and the credits that are involved for that service. It's that's available to you. So business support is something we give you as a leverage for these early stages to leverage. In addition to the credits that you would get from AWS services, you also get a separate pool of credits that can only be used for support. And so business support, it's a 24/7 conduit that will give you connecting you with trained support engineers. They can take your technical issues and questions, and it's really the fastest way to get technical help with AWS. You can with the AWS Activate, you can have up to 1 year of support credits. Use them while you have them. And a lot of times, founders forget that they have them available and they don't use them, or they figure that their issue is not, critical enough for you to use. And so we say, use them as much as you can. You have the call or click to chat options, and typically those give a faster response. And then make sure you set the appropriate level of support. Higher severity is a quicker response time. And you can open up 1 case or 100 cases per month. It's up to you. But my tip is to use the business support like an extension of your team. Instead of searching, Stack Overflow or Google for hours, you can then, just open a support case, and when you hit a brick wall, and it really will help you get past that hump. So here's a little bit about the response times with business support. Response times for general guidance is less than 24 hours. A system impaired is less than 12 hours. Production system impaired is less than 4 hours. And production system down is less than an hour of response times. A mistake that that has a lot of early stage CTOs make is assuming that you can't get the same level of support as what large enterprises receive, and this is not true. You get the same level of support as any other large enterprise would have, even if it doesn't matter the size of the company. And business support is something that's not, and it's people don't take advantage of this enough, and there's no reason not to. So mistake number 3 we see is confusing root accounts and IAM users. And let me just share, using a root account is and just configuring from that is really dangerous. it has the full access, and it can, if those credentials are leaked, and then someone can have full access to your account, and it's really dangerous. And so we recommend, for you to, there's a bunch of recommendations we have here, but first of all, don't use your root account for configuring services. We recommend using, creating use other accounts for that, or users to configure with that. You can use the managed profile, the AWS managed profiles, and attach them to IAM users, or you can attach them to groups, create groups within that. And then that way that those privileged users can log in and configure the services. But lock down your root account and create users based on permissions that you'd want to give them. For instance, in the AWS managed policies, you can use the administrator access policy. That policy provides a full access to AWS services and resources suitable for like a technical co-founder. Whereas if you use like a power user access policy, you can provide that for services and resources, but it does not allow management of IAM users. So if you have, you may want to give that to a power, like a lead developer, someone that you want to give access to the services, but you don't want to give them, access to creating accounts or creating users. So that's typically, how we'd say to start. But it's in the perfect world, you wouldn't use these managed policies forever. You want to get to a place where you set granular permissions and you follow the principle of least privilege, which is where you're going to start creating custom policies that make sense for the groups or the users that you have, and kind of really lock them down to the least privilege. But once your team starts to grow beyond a few people, you need to start managing your own granular permissions, following the least privilege, of course. But until then, you have these built-in managed policies that can really save you time and get you going. So mistake number 4 is not using MFA. Setting up MFA which is a multi-factor authentication, which requires a password and a separate authentication code, which you can either use through like a physical key, YubiKey, or you can use like Duo or Authy or Duo Mobile to get a software key that can provide the second form factor. But this is something that's really easy to set up, and it just takes a few minutes to do, and it can really give you a lot more security towards your accounts, and especially the ones that have the privilege to create, whether it's your root account or other user accounts that have privilege there. And you can you can still, if you lose your MFA key, because this is the biggest question we have with people kind of concerned about using MFA keys, is losing them. But you still can recover them by, if you lose them, you can still log in, and all you have to do is enter your password and then verify your email address, and then verify a telephone number. And in a very simple way is to harden this is a very simple way to harden your security if it's not set up already. And there's some links here to going through tutorials on this, and we'll provide this to you as we move at the end of the discussion. So let me just open this up to a quick, put something in the chat. Are you familiar with infrastructure as code? Are you using any infrastructure as code tools today? Go ahead and put those in the chat if you're using any of those today. and which ones? Okay, well, we'll just wait. We'll just kind of look at that as coming in. But as we see that coming in, this is one of the mistakes that we see not enough founders or co-founders are using today in using infrastructure as code. So what it is it's enables programmatic provisioning and management of cloud resources. Instead of manually clicking around in the web console and providing a managed AWS services, which is time consuming and prone to human error. Infrastructure as code enables you to use code and configuration files to provision and manage backend infrastructure. Some of the key benefits that you get out of infrastructure as code is consistently reproducing environments. For instance, if you have a dev environment or a production environment, you can quickly and easily reproduce that. And you can set it up in other regions if you want to create a disaster recovery, which is one of the bonuses that you get out of that. You get version controlled infrastructure. It saves you time in the long run. Initially, it takes an extra probably 20% to learn and to set it up initially, but once you've set it up, you do really over time really save that time in that. It also minimizes the amount of risk. Fat-fairing configuration files are prone to human error. And again, as I mentioned before, you can, if you ever need to migrate to a different region, it's much easier with that. So, beyond that, though, there's many IAC tools out there. For instance, CloudFormation is one of them. That's AWS, native data AWS. There's Terraform, which a lot of you are probably familiar with. Other ones like Pulumi, Serverless Framework, AWS Serverless Application Model, or SAM. For building on AWS, our general purpose recommendations is to use Cloud Development Kit, or the CDK. And this is a layer built on top of CloudFormation that allows you to provision AWS infrastructure using familiar programming languages like TypeScript or Python. As a developer, you might be comfortable with object-oriented programming, which is why the CDK is intuitive. Other solutions like CloudFormation and Terraform use verbose and hard to read, like YAML, JSON type files, which is not as easy or intuitive for you might have to work with. CDK constructs encapsulate best practices and allow you to quickly get started. For example, using a CDK application load balancer Fargate service constructs requires approximately about 40 lines of code, where an equivalent CloudFormation template is around 500 plus lines. So there are ways to save time in here with CloudFormation or an IAC along with the Amazon CDK. Moving on to mistake number 6, rolling your own instead of using managed services. I hear this quite a bit with my startups that I work with, is finding out afterwards that they've spent a lot of time building their own and then managing it. So you are going to save some money, but you're going to spend some money, but you're going to also save time. And the time, especially I would recommend on things that aren't core to your business. You see a lot of engineers who you've really hired them, or that you've really yourself are looking to not do the actual heavy lifting of managing this self-managed service that you've built out. And so, for instance, there's some examples here of building your own custom analytics solution. Well, don't do that. Whereas you can use a service like Mixpanel, where it's already done for you. Just use the service. It's managed service for you to use. Other examples, self-hosting MongoDB on EC2. Well, you could instead of doing that, you could use Amazon Document DB or Mongo Atlas, which is a managed service. So there's a bunch of ways that you can save time here. I look at it like this: would you consider writing your own email server? No, you probably wouldn't, right? You'd use you'd use Gmail, you'd use some other service that you could leverage instead of having to build it your own and maintain it on yourself. But do your own research before jumping into a build. It could save you a lot of time. A lot of times you say DIY, but I say DI don't. Use these managed services when you can. It'll save you a lot of time, and you take that time and put it back into your company, put it back into your product, and what differentiates your business. Mistake number 7 is using access keys when IAM roles can be used. This is a kind of a big mistake I see with a lot of startups that are starting off by hard coding access keys into either their CloudFormation templates or their code. Never check in user keys to your code repository. It eventually will end up somewhere. We had this recently with one of my customers where they found out later on that through the Docker repository and the way that they were kind of building that, they found that some of the keys were leaked out, and they found out later that the bot was kind of using that, but nothing really bad happened. But a lot of things can happen, and this is where you want to use roles. Roles can allow you to provide access from services to other services without hard coding keys, and providing that way they don't get lost or they don't get leaked in a way. And you have to manage, and having to manage that over time. Roles provides a better way for you to give access to services moving forward. Mistake number 8, this is a good one. Are you using a CloudFront or using a CDN? A CDN is a content delivery network, and it provides an easier way for you to provide your content to your users much closer to them, and it provides a better performance to your users where they're getting the content at very quick speeds. It caches that content, and a lot of times we think, well, this is just static content. No, it also can cache even some dynamic content, and what you're paying for S3 and EC2 egress, CloudFront egress starts at even a half a cent below that. So it's really beneficial and cost effective to leverage a CDN like CloudFront or any other CDN that's available to you, because not only from a price perspective, but also performance. And you are now offloading, scaling, offloading that traffic from your origins or your backend, and also it also gives you a much better scaling ability. So I'd say leverage a CDN, and moving forward, it'll give you better price break as well as a better scale. Mistake number 9, leaving unused resources running. And this is something that you find after some time of using a cloud provider, is that people turn on things, they play with instances, they turn on services, they forget EBS volumes have been unattached and just sitting there. These all cost, and so you can use certain services like AWS Instance Scheduler that can tag instances and then start and stop on a schedule. And so if you have teams that are or if you find that you would only be using these services during certain times of the day, you can schedule it. You also can, that's a more proactive approach. You can use budgets again to be a little more reactive, but you get the alert and then you can go in and turn things off when certain thresholds are exceeded. But definitely, use this as an option to saving money. And as time goes on, if these sort of things aren't put in place, maintaining and finding out where these costs of people then you will have to go and buy tools and services to kind of give you better, because it's grown so much. And so do it early and do it often, and this way that you'll find out and be able to keep this under control. Here's some other areas showing of another mistake that's seen by some founders is treating the relational database as the end all be all for storing everything. We provide purpose-built tools for the right tool for the right job, and in the end, this really can save you. In the end, it can really save you from a time perspective and also from a price perspective and a performance. We often see startup customers using relational databases for all our storage needs, and it's important to step back and evaluate what tools are available. For example, if you need to store files like images or videos, and Amazon S3 is the best solution. Not a binary blob in your database. You'll find out later when you need to migrate those databases that it becomes a little tricky in migrating blob columns into another database. Or if you have the highest possible, you're looking for the highest possible performance at scale, you should look at a key value data store like DynamoDB. Amazon DynamoDB delivers a single-digit millisecond performance at any scale. It's a fully managed multi-region database with a built-in security. Multi-region, it is backup and restore and in-memory caching for internet scale applications. DynamoDB can handle more than 10 trillion requests per day and can support peaks of more than 20 million requests per second. This consistent performance is a big part of why Snapchat Stories feature uses DynamoDB. And of course, there's the relational database like Postgres, MySQL, and MariaDB. In a relational database, you normalize your data into separate tables and assemble the related entities together at a query time. It's a good choice when you have your multiple related entities with varying update patterns. The strict schema, a validation, and normalized data model help you to ensure data integrity across all your applications, using the traditional applications and a good general purpose solution for starting. So using Amazon RDS, you can create MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB, or relational databases. Or you can use in-memory databases for caching, session management, game leaderboards, geospatial applications. Amazon Elasticache or Memcached, or Amazon Elasticache for Redis. You can use a document data storing model that uses large records called documents to assemble heterogeneous bits of data that are frequently accessed together, rather than spreading this data across multiple tables. You can also keep that data together in a document for faster access. So Amazon Document DB with MongoDB compatibility would be a tool of choice for something like that. And then you have your analytics workloads, data warehousing, BI workloads, S3 plus Amazon Athena, you have Amazon Redshift, there's time series databases for IoT applications, and DevOps industrial telemetry you can use for Amazon TimeStream. And then finally, you can use a graph or ledger databases, graphing with Amazon Neptune or with ledger databases with Amazon QLDB. In the end, there are probably more tools than you know, and I encourage you to do the research before subscribing to one size fits all approach. And then a bonus here, a bonus mistake we see is using your personal email for your AWS account and knowing how things can go wrong, and possibly you're not planning for the possibility of your tech leader leaving the company, and they've signed up with the root account on their personal email, and now you have no way to gain access, or know maybe they're a disgruntled employee, and when they leave the company, you don't want them to start spinning up the largest, most expensive instances out there. So what we recommend is using an alias when you sign up for an account that way, and then you would basically put all the founders in that alias so that not just one person has access to that, and this provides a lot better, a lot easier way for you to recover access to those root accounts. And so something that we would say as a bonus, don't make mistakes like that. Hopefully that's been helpful and beneficial. I've really enjoyed my time with you all today. If you have any other questions, concerns, we do have the chat. We also have office hours for follow-ups. And I do recommend, just as a side note, for you to take advantage of those office hours. You can really have a good one-on-one time with a solutions architect that can help guide you through questions, maybe through architectural guidance on what services, based on the kind of use case or the application you're looking to build. It really can provide you kind of guidance in a sea of services and architectures out there. So definitely take time to leverage our office hours and the engage at scale with a solutions architect.
Yeah, I just dropped it in the chat again, the link there. It's just a very simple Google form. You add your name, just follow the little cell information, fill it all out. Wade, thank you so much. I really do. We have about 15 minutes left, and Wade is more than just this presentation. He's a senior architect specialist, or what's the exact title that you have at AWS again?
I'm a senior solutions architect.
Yeah,
senior
solutions
startup.
architect. Yeah, and so that means what exactly? That you can just do magic, right, at AWS, solve everyone's problems?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of digging into what customers are looking to achieve, and then kind of looking at the tools and the service we have available and saying, here's how you can leverage this tool, or here's how you can leverage this service within AWS, or this is how the approach you can take when you want to build this out. So it's a lot of guiding, a lot of giving the wisdom that we have. A lot of it's also going back into the teams and saying, okay, this is the kind of question we got from one of our startups, what do we recommend going forward? And so we sometimes it's digging in a little deeper, and maybe going and finding a specialist that can help dive even deeper to help our customers. Great.
So please use the form in order to get that type of service. But for the remainder of our time here, I encourage you guys to use the hand raising function and ask Wade, while you have him, any specific questions that you might have about your experiences at AWS, or perhaps just some initial questions. If you're new to AWS, it's a good time to get Wade's advice. You might not necessarily have Wade, who's a senior in this field. So does anyone have any questions for Wade?
I see one there already by Abai. Did I say that right?
Hey, Abai.
Yeah. So great. Thanks for asking that. I went through this not too long ago. Cloud practitioner. It's a great certification to get started with. I'd recommend that. It's not too terribly difficult. I think that if you go through, there are some free trainings out there, especially AWS right now has a lot of on Skill Builder. It has a lot of new trainings out there that are available for you to kind of go through that. I do recommend when in going through whatever you go through. I've used Udemy, I've used A Cloud Gurus, I've used also our Amazon's own skill builder trainings. And so whatever platform you choose, and I know it's all about, what's been successful to others out there in the industry. For me, it was, I basically bought a course on Udemy. I think it was an A Cloud Guru course at the time, and I just went through it at my own pace. And then after that, I used, there are some like tutorials out there. One's called Tutorial Dojos, which helps you with FAQs and practice exams. And that was really helpful because what it does is it doesn't just give you the answer, how you answer this right or wrong, but for the ones you've answered wrong, here's why. And it gives you a tutorial built into each question. So you're learning through each question as you go through. And that was really helpful to me when I went through my cloud practitioner. Also with the Solution Architect Associate, and right now I'm going through the Solution Architect Pro.
Great, thanks, Wade. And there's another question now from Menachem. Oh, he's one of our teams at the garage. Hey, Menachem, do you want to ask it out loud or you want me to ask for you? I guess I can just ask for you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to ask if you, thank you for your presentation, it's really interesting. I just wanted to ask if you know about the AWS Robotics Startup Accelerator and what type of companies you are looking for that program.
This might be something I can reach out to Jenny about. I don't have any experience with the robotics startup accelerator, but I'm sure we can find out some more information about that, or we can get that to you, and we can find out more information about that for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's something you can also just put into the line items for the office hours, and that could be something definitely helpful for you to move forward with that.
Thanks. Will do.
Any more questions from the group? I'll give it 1 second. And then once again, I will just thank Jenny and Wade for all of your time. You guys are amazing. We look forward to seeing you guys again in 6 months. I hope it's you again, Wade. And maybe one day in the future, we'll be able to host these events in person again. They used to be a little bit longer. They would be over lunch. There was actually a little part of the workshop was actually building something on AWS. It was really a fun activity.
Yeah.
So I do look forward to those days. But thank you so much for your time. And then, I just once again want to say, if you guys enjoyed this event, we do events like this throughout the year. One of our ad hoc programs is our virtual Oceanside chats. We have one next week on Wednesday. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again. If you guys want to RSVP, if you're interested in non-diluted seed funding or just learning about how to get funded in general, Porter Wong is a great resource. He also is one of these kind of generalists who knows many, many people. He works with the city. He is very, very involved in inclusion and equity programs, trying to diversify the startup world a little bit. And that following week, we'll also have an open legal clinic, which we usually close just for garage teams. We're gonna have a legal clinic that's open to all of you guys as well. So if you guys want to learn more about that, please, our website is in the chat, our LinkedIn. Did I put our LinkedIn? I can definitely drop our LinkedIn, but there are plenty more events just like this that you guys can come and join. Wade, do you have any final advice for anyone who's getting started, like maybe some sage advice or just for startups in general, just to encourage, because there's probably some, some entrepreneur hopefuls in the crowd, a lot of students here.
I mean, just in general, I know from founders, it's very easy to think that when you're creating this product that you're building out, that it has to be perfect, that it has to be, like 100%. And the idea of an MVP, getting it out there as soon as possible, and letting being able, sooner you get out your MVPs out there, the better it is for you to now start iterating on that and pivoting and seeing what are the ways that you can you're getting down to that space of really providing the value to the end users and your customers eventually, and you'll see that starting to grow because of that. So I would say, the power of the cloud giving you this ability to iterate much quicker, getting these services to your customers within days instead of months, is something that's valuable. But don't also block yourself. Don't in your own mindset, well, I have to make this better, I have to add these 10 more features, these have to be perfect. I would say, get your MVPs out there, get them looked at, get more customers out there looking at them and providing that feedback to you. That way you can grow. So I think that's just something in general I think a lot of startups know, but I would just say, don't be afraid. And yeah,
Go get them, Tiger.
yeah, go get them.
Okay, well, I put this in the chat, but everyone who's RSVP'd for this event is going to receive a great deal of information, including the deck, the video, contact info for both Wade and Jenny, and a few other items, especially, just ways to continue to interact with us at VSG. Thanks again for your time, Wade. Thank you, Jenny. Have a great afternoon. Bye, guys. Happy hump day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.